Yes.
Oh, okay. Very good.
It's a tie.
All the way down. Are you? I'm not sitting there going, this is a test. All right.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the organizational meeting of the South Range Board of Education. My name is Brian Bagwell. I am a new face in the center here. Ralph is not along anymore, but I was appointed President Pro Tem last meeting, so I'll be kicking things off for the organizational meeting. If you would, we'd like to start by standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. There's a flag in the back and a flag in the front.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So first we have a couple new faces that I'd like to introduce you to. On my right, we have Mrs. Shelley Colucci. On the left, we have Mrs. Elizabeth Johnson. And then you may have not met our new treasurer yet, Mr. Mario Nero. So welcome, we're happy to have everybody here and looking forward to a good year. So at this point, we'll go ahead and do the oath of offices.
Do you want to do them separately or together?
Let's do them all together.
I feel like I'm right in the middle. Yeah, stand out.
So, yeah. Chuck, Chris, if you want to stand with her, you can.
Share one.
First thing you put your hands on.
Yeah, yes. Why don't you come and get
Okay, so come on. Go ahead.
I state your name.
I,
I,
Brian
Shelley
Bagwell,
Colucci,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge my duties
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge my duties
as a member of the Board of Education
as a member of the Board of Education
and and for the said South Range Local School District,
and for the said South Range Local School District,
Mahoney County, Ohio,
Mahoning County, Ohio,
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability,
in accordance with the laws now in effect
and in accordance with the laws now in effect,
and hereafter to be enacted
and hereafter to be enacted
during my continuance in said office
during my continuance in said office,
and until my successor is chosen and qualified.
and until my successor is chosen and qualified.
Okay, now that we're all sworn in, Mr. Nero, could you do the roll call?
Elizabeth Johnson,
Here.
Terry Lowry,
Here.
Amy White,
Here.
Shelley Colucci,
Here.
Brian Bagwell.
Here. And at this point, if I can please have a motion to open for nominations for board president for 2022.
So motion.
Terry, move.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passes. And at this point, we will take nominations for board president.
I'll nominate Brian Bagwell as board president.
And if there's no other motions, or no other nominations, if I could have a motion to close nominations.
Oh, motion.
Amy motions. And a second.
I second.
Shelley seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. So I, as the president pro tem, declare that since there's just been a single nomination, we don't need to cast individual votes, or no?
I believe so.
Okay. So I will be the president for 2022, Brian Bagwell. No, we're gonna do, okay, we're gonna do a roll call? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So go ahead with the roll call.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Lally?
Yes.
Mrs. White?
Yes.
Mrs. Calucci?
Yes.
Mr. Bagwell?
Yes. Motion carries. And at this point, if I could have a motion to open for nominations for board vice president.
So moved.
Amy moves. A second.
I'll second.
Terry seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. And open the floor for vice president nominations.
I'd like to nominate Amy White, please.
Mrs. White. There's no other nominations. Do I have a motion to close?
I move.
Shelley moves. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And against? Motion passes. So Mrs. White will be the vice president for 2022. Junior, can you call the roll?
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Lally?
Yes.
Mrs. White?
Yes.
Mrs. Calucci?
Yes.
Mr. Bagwell?
Yes. Okay, at this time, Mr. Carlson, Mr. Nero, could you review the agenda items?
We're gonna
Yes.
swear you guys in.
Oh, okay, we'll do that next.
I, Brian Bagwell, do solemnly swear
I, Brian Bagwell, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge my duties
and I will faithfully and impartially discharge my duties
as president of the board
as president of the board
in and for the said South Range Local School District,
in and for the said South Range Local School District,
Mahoning County, Ohio,
Mahoning County, Ohio,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
in accordance with the laws now in effect,
and in accordance with the laws now in effect,
and hereafter to be enacted
and hereafter to be enacted
during my continuance in said office,
during my continuance in said office,
and until my successor is chosen and qualified.
and until my successor is chosen and qualified.
I, Amy White, do solemnly swear
I, Amy White, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge my duties
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge my duties
as Vice President of the Board
as Vice President of the Board
in and for the said South Range Local School District,
in and for the said South Range Local School District,
Mahoning County, Ohio,
Mahoning County, Ohio,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
in accordance with the laws now in effect,
and in accordance with the laws now in effect,
and hereafter to be enacted
and hereafter to be enacted,
during my continuance in said office,
during my continuance in said office,
and until my successor is chosen and qualified.
and until my successor is chosen and qualified.
Okay, now we can approve or look at agenda items.
Okay, being that it's a January organizational meeting, we have a whole bunch of things that we review at the beginning of the year and we approve. So, first thing we have is compensation for board members. During board meetings, we have 12 meetings per year and board members are paid $125 a board meeting, as well as the annual meeting at the Mahoning County Educational Service Center. Service fund for the board, we also set aside $5,000 for service fund to help offset other professional development or other meetings that we need to have. Member of OSBA, so to approve this membership so we can continue to be part of the Ohio School Board Association. Liability and property fleet, this is to ensure that our property and our fleet have the appropriate liability and are insured to support the organization. Treasurer pro temp, in the event that our treasurer is not able to be at a meeting, this gives the ability for the board to appoint a treasurer pro temp for that meeting. Regular meeting time and place, we will maintain the third Monday of every month, however move the meetings to 6 p.m. and continue to hold them here in the library. Administrative mileage, move that we continue at the South Range Board of Education approved mileage for the administrative per the Internal Revenue Service amount that they give out frequently throughout the year. Compliance officers, we presently have Steve Matos and Sherry Lewis. We're going to maintain that as our Title IX compliance officers. OSBA Legislative Liaison appointee and Student Achievement Liaison appointee. We will need to, when we get to this, we can discuss this and identify 2 people to represent our district. Standing authorizations. So we have quite a few of these. So the treasurer is authorized to secure advances from the county auditor when funds are available and payable to the school district. The treasurer CFO is authorized to invest in active funds whenever funds are available. Superintendent and/or treasurer CFO is authorized to purchase the services of architects, attorneys, engineers, and other professional consultants from the Ohio School Board Association, Neola, Buckeye Association Administrators, Baylog, Steins, Hendricks, and Manchester Architects, Ennis Britton Law, Squires, Patton Boggs, LLP, Smith, Peters, and Khalil, and Harrington, Hope, and Mitchell, LTD, Ginkgo Bear, Walter Haverfield, or other private consultants that may be necessary or useful to advise the board in matters of finance, personnel, contracts, development, insurance, computers, purchasing, and other legitimate matters affecting the Board of Education's concern. Superintendent is the designated purchasing agent for the school district. To authorize, these next 2 basically are to authorize the superintendent to accept resignations in between board meetings. However, they will be placed on the board agenda per the date that I receive them for the school year. In regards to hiring, this gives me the authority to hire somebody in between meetings as long as they have all the appropriate certifications, background checks, and required items. G, the treasurer CFO is authorized to pay all bills within the limits of the appropriations as bills are received and when the merchandise service has been received in good condition and in a timely manner. Treasurer is authorized to borrow such funds as may be necessary to meet the expenses for the district within the confines of Ohio law. Treasurer CFO is empowered to sign payroll checks and board warrants. School district will continue to participate in state and federal funds per our consolidated application that we work through the Ohio Department of Education. So our Title I funds for this school year were $109,321.80. Our Title IIA, which helps with staff development, tutoring, and other services, was $27,435.93. IDEA, which is our special education funds, $252,868.73. Title IVA, again, helping with tutoring, our resource officer and security, $10,000. Early childhood preschool, we use these funds for that. It's $3,700.51. Our total CCIP consolidated funding is $403,326.97. These funds will be used in accordance with the approved and federal guidelines. Everything has to be put together and approved by the state for us to move forward with those. The superintendent is authorized to approve the attendance of school employees, treasurer, CFO, and his own attendance at professional development meetings. Board of Education authorizes superintendent or treasurer, CFO to request the use of services of either or both of management services for assistance in State Department of Education, Management Advisory Service, Office of Keith Faber, Auditor of State, other management services, when they feel it is necessary or useful to do so. The superintendent is authorized to represent, speak for, and vote on behalf of the board in consortia in which it participates, including Access, OSBC, the NEA Conference, Ohio Coalition for Equity and Adequacy of School Funding, and other consortia or similar organizations or successor organizations to this list. Superintendent is a designee of the board for appeals of suspensions of pupils by a principal, administrative dues and fees encumbered other than personal licensure, which are specific to employment at South Range local schools, shall be paid by the Board of Education. Treasurer, CFO to manage the currently established petty cash accounts in accordance with our policy 6625. And lastly, declare in a matter of policy, the purchasing coffee, meals, and refreshments and other amenities for officers, guests, and employees further a public function as long as they are provided in conjunction with legitimate public activities, and such provision is not manifestly arbitrary or unreasonable. To the board further declares that providing alcoholic beverages is not part of this purchase. That would be it.
Okay. Are there any questions, comments from the board during these items? Okay, seeing as there's not, may I have a motion for the compensation, to accept the compensation for the board?
So moved.
Amy moves. Second.
Second.
Elizabeth seconds. Third. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Accept the service fund for board members.
I move.
Terry moves. Second.
Second.
Elizabeth seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to accept the membership in OSBA.
I move.
Amy moves.
I second.
Shelley seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to accept the liability, property, and fleet insurance.
I move.
Terry moves.
Second.
Amy seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have a motion to accept the treasurer pro tem.
So moved.
Amy moves.
Second.
Shelley seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And a motion to accept the regular meeting date, time, and place for 2022.
I'll move.
Terry moves.
A second.
Amy seconds. In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to accept the administrative mileage.
So moved.
Shelley moves.
A second.
Amy seconds. In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion to accept the compliance officers?
So moved.
Amy moves. Elizabeth seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You want to talk about?
Yeah, we have two committees. One is the legislative liaison, basically keeping up with the Ohio School Board Association, what's happening out there legally, and then anything that's important pertaining to education or a district, you report back out. We also have a student achievement liaison. To be truthfully honest, at our work session, I'd like to talk about this one and maybe expand some advocacy with academics with this position some more. So, anybody interested? I know last year, Terry, you were the legislative liaison, weren't you?
And it's actually pretty easy if Liz would like to do it, only because you guys are pretty on top of things and reporting everything as we get it. I'll help you.
You'll get emails too.
Yeah.
You'll get emails.
About how it's
Like I said,
work.
and the administration is really good at keeping up to date on all of them, so they report basically the same thing you would report.
And then I need somebody for the student achievement liaison.
I can do it.
You wanna do it? All right, Brian. So we'll go Elizabeth for the first one and Amy for the second one.
Okay, so we'll just do one motion to appoint Elizabeth as the school legislative liaison, and Amy is the student achievement liaison.
I'll move.
Terry moves,
I'll second.
Shelley seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we have a motion to accept the standing authorizations.
So moved.
Amy moves,
Second.
Elizabeth seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I think that's all for the,
Who seconded
I
that
do
one?
this.
that should be all for the organizational meeting, right?
So basically, we
So,
have to adjourn.
yeah, we just need a motion to adjourn. for
So
this
moved.
meeting. Amy
Moved.
moves,
I'll second.
Terry will second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. One down, one to go.
All right, so what we're gonna, do things right? Alright, come back or go ahead and do that.
We can just restart it. We can take a picture after, so we can move all the papers off and stuff then. You start here.
Okay, so we will call, this is the regular meeting, we're doing a 2-for-1 deal tonight. We're gonna call that meeting to order 6:22. And Mr. Nero, if you could call the roll again, please.
Elizabeth Johnson,
Here.
Terry Lally,
Here.
Amy White,
Here.
Shelley Calucci,
Here.
Brian Bagwell.
Here. Okay, and then, are there any corrections that need to be made for the minutes for the December meeting? Okay, if none, we can go ahead and get a motion to accept the minutes from the December meeting.
I'll move.
Terry moves,
Second.
Elizabeth seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And at this time, we'll let Mr. Nero review the financials.
Yeah, I kind of went back to what numbers Jim kind of provided. He kind of went over the cash summary of all the funds. He said the general fund balance at the end of December was $3.685 million approximately. The bond retirement fund is approximately $940,000. The last payment was made a couple months ago, probably in November for the December 1st deadline. And then cash requests for all the grants will be made towards the end of the month once we get most of their all the expenses reported. So the total fund balance on the cash summary reports 4.862 million approximately. The number of encumbered is 2.6 million approximately. So total unencumbered balance is roughly 2.2 million of all the funds. He's also, you were provided the appropriation summary, revenue summary, and disbursement summary. So if you guys have any questions on those reports, I just wanted to mention ODE finally updated the state foundation payments this month. That'll be reflected in the new state formula. So I'll review it, and as I get familiarized with the process, I'll update you guys on it. Mostly, the biggest change is instead of being funded by kids who live in the district, we're going to be funded by kids educated in the district. So the way the money flows on the forecast will be major changes. So I know enrollment in was on the one line, will be shifted up into the unrestricted revenue, and then we won't see those expenses for open enrollment out in community schools. So as we get closer to the forecast, when we prove that, I'll get more in depth on how those will affect the forecast. So unless you guys have any questions, any of the report.
Any questions for Mr. Nero? Seems we have none. If I could have a motion to accept the financial report.
So moved.
Amy moves.
Second.
Shelley seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And Mrs. Carlson, would you like to do the district update?
Yeah, I worked with the administration and kind of everyone else right now, so since this was usually a double meeting, they're gonna report out in February, so I'll be here. So I have a few things I do wanna go over. We received our special education state report. We once again met everything that we needed to meet on our special education report. There were no deficits, so fortunately we are continuing to move forward with being compliant, reaching the needs of students. Mrs. Lewis will share more about that at the next meeting, but I wanted to share that. As a reminder to our parents, we do not have school on Monday the 17th for Martin Luther King Day. I would also like to remind our parents that our cafeteria is doing a great job, but we continue to have supply issues, so please understand and accept the patience of the menu might be changed that morning, the next day, so please understand they're doing a really good job of making sure our students actually have a large variety, but we're still dealing with the supply change for the cafeteria. I really want to thank our custodial staff. They did a great job cleaning without anybody being in the building this winter. They were able to get back through and really get the building cleaned up again. They did a great job. On the 26th, as we mentioned with the liaison positions, that we are going to have a board work session to work on goals, reviewing our new board expectations, discuss strategic planning, and any other issues. So it'll be nice to be able to get together on the 26th as a board and be trained together on the expectations. Also, reminder, the end of the 9 weeks is January 21st. The high school will be once again utilizing the remote days for testing. We found it was very effective that the students who were not doing the state tests were able to do live remoting in, doing project stuff, but the teachers who actually teach the content in the high school were able to administer the tests to the students, and we did them in one day instead of spreading them over 2 days. So it's better for the kids. They get a break halfway, but their mind's still on math. They get to finish math or English, and they're doing it with their teachers that they know instead of being dispersed through all over the building. So Mr. Round has put the schedule actually on his website if you scroll down to the bottom, but he will also do a one call during that. I just give a small update regarding COVID. We kind of had a rush at the beginning of last week. We had some staff out. Our staff is just doing a phenomenal job of picking up the pieces when we are a little short to make sure we can stay in session. They, just cover each other when needed. It was pretty much all hands on deck last week, and we made it through. Numbers just continue. It's just like a little roller coaster. Some days they're a little higher than others. Majority of our cases are related to parents keeping the kids home, not so much the kids' case. So I will continue to keep the dashboard updated. On Wednesdays, I'll just send out a little text kind of giving the community where we are with it. Letters still go home if there's a case in the classroom. Fortunately, most of our cases so far had not made it back into school, so we're just starting now to have, they might have been here Friday, got tested Saturday, so letters will start coming back up. But knock on wood, we're holding on right now.
Can you update us on what the guidelines are
Sure.
for quarantine?
As of right now, if you are unvaccinated and you are exposed, you do have to stay home the 5 days and then wear a mask for the next 5 days coming back as long as you're symptom-free. If you if you're vaccinated but you weren't vaccinated in a certain time frame, there's also, you may have to stay home a couple days and then come back with a mask. Each vaccine is a different one, so Ms. Peterson will walk through you with that. They did just finally make a little adjustment to students who've been vaccinated because they can't get their second booster, they're just starting to come out, so now we're allowed to accept those. We still have the 90-day window, so as long as it's within the 90 days. So if you were vaccinated on, it would have been November 10th, or if you've had it, if you've had COVID by November 10th to now, you have 90 days, you can stay here with a mask in school. If you test positive, you need to stay home at least for 5 days. So from your test date, then we count 5 days. On day 6, you can return with a mask as long as your symptoms are improving or gone. I would like to commend our parents. We had a lot of kids who had fallen sick right before they were due to come to school, and they very conscientiously kept their kids home actually for the 10 days because they still had congestion, cough, and they felt it was best. So I do commend our parents on not just rushing to send the kids back to school. We had quite a few of them that they were not ready and the parents chose to keep them home. But The rule is if they're symptom-free. Now, if they get to school and they're coughing a lot and they're not feeling good, we will call and send them home. But those are the new guidelines as they are today.
Okay. I guess I'll just make a comment on that. You know, through work, I get the opportunity to speak to a lot of people all over the country, and it inevitably comes up about the kids and what their kids are doing for school. And it just amazes me that so many of them are, you know, having to go remote or alternative learning plans, and they're envious when I tell them that our school district has been in school all this time. And you know, I always make sure I explain that it's just due to the fact that we have amazing administrators, amazing staff, custodians, everybody. I think you guys kind of take it for granted, just think it's part of life now, but there's a lot of people that don't think that way, and we certainly appreciate all the hard work you put into it, and it doesn't go unrecognized, so thank you.
And I think it's the parents being proactive too, keeping their kids at home.
Yes. Yeah, our attendance has been a little high at times, but, and we do notice our parents will send if they're just slightly concerned, but even though they know they're healthy, you'll see a kid with a mask for a couple days, and we truly appreciate that from the parents.
Thank you very much. We'll move to the agenda items. If you'd like to review
Sure.
those
We only
ones,
have 3 agenda items. Every year, our baseball and softball teams travel to the Carolinas. So the baseball team is asking permission for them again over spring break to travel to Kingston Plantation and the Ripken Complex for the baseball tournaments there. Our softball team is asking also to go down. They stay at North Myrtle Beach, and they play at the North Myrtle Beach Sports Complex at Avista Resort. And then the other one is I mentioned the Attorney General's grant that I'd applied for, and we did receive a total of $6,425.64. This will be used for our ALICE and threat assessment training that must be, to be compliant with the law, we have to do it. So we did purchase online through Navigate 360, so these funds will help offset the cost of that.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we'll move into public participation. If anybody would like to speak on any of the agenda items, we just ask you to state your name and your address, and then we'll limit it to 2 minutes each, please. If there's none, we'll go ahead and continue. So we have a motion for the high school baseball trip to Myrtle Beach.
I motion.
This is Lally motion.
Second.
Mrs. Johnson seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion for the South Range High School softball trip to North Myrtle Beach.
I'll motion.
This is Lally motion. Mrs. Johnson seconds. In favor? Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to accept the funds from the Attorney General Safety Grant.
A motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Ms. Clutian seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, and at this time we will move into public participation for non-agenda items. Same rules apply. Please state your name and address. Seeing as there's none, we don't need to go into executive tonight?
No,
Anything
we're
to
not.
discuss? Okay. And then do we have more personnel to go over? Okay, so I think we just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Any moves?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Can we do a roll call finish or no?
I don't have it on.
Yeah.
Just have a copy.